The screen door slammed like a gunshot in the sticky July heat. And before Eli could even turn from the sink, strong hands gripped his shoulders, spinning him around into a kiss that tasted like desperation and cheap whiskey. "I can't do this anymore," Carter gasped against his lips, his voice cracking like thunder over the Iowa cornfields outside, eyes wild with the kind of fear that only comes from loving someone in a town that whispers your secrets back at you. Eli's heart hammered as he shoved him away just enough to see the bruise blooming purple on Carter's jaw, courtesy of a father who preached fire and brimstone on Sundays and swung fists on Saturdays. Eli Harper had always figured his life in Willow Creek was a slow burn, the kind of existence where you fixed leaky faucets for widows down the block and nursed a six-pack on your sagging porch swing, while the fireflies blinked like faulty Christmas lights. At 28, he was the guy everyone called reliable, the one who mowed lawns when folks' backs gave out and baked apple pies for block parties, even though his own pie crusts came out lopsided every damn time. His little bungalow on Elm Street was a fixer-upper he'd bought with the insurance money after his folks' car wreck 3 years back. A 2-bedroom relic from the 50s with creaky oak floors and a backyard that butted up against the endless flatness of the Midwest. It was home, or as close as he'd gotten since burying his secrets deeper than the soybeans in the fields. That afternoon, the air hung heavy with the promise of a storm, the kind that rolls in from the west like God's own tantrum. Eli was elbow-deep in soapy water, scrubbing the breakfast dishes he'd let pile up since dawn, when the knock came sharp, insistent, not the polite tap-tap of Mrs. Jenkins next door asking for her hedge clippers back. He wiped his hands on a dish towel, the faded red one with the embroidered rooster his mom had sewn, and yanked open the door without a second thought. Carter Reeves stood there, all 6'2" of him crammed into the frame like he'd been poured into it, his flannel shirt untucked and clinging to his broad chest from the humidity. Sweat beaded on his forehead, darkening the short crop of his sandy hair, and his blue eyes, those eyes that could shift from sky-clear to storm-dark in a heartbeat, locked onto Eli's with an intensity that made the air thicken. "Hey, neighbor," Carter said, his voice low and gravelly, the drawl of central Iowa wrapping around the words like barbed wire. "You got any sugar? Ma's on a baking kick again, and we're fresh out." Eli blinked, caught off guard by the casual ask after weeks of radio silence. Sugar. Of all things. It was the lamest excuse since that time Carter had accidentally wandered over with a flat tire and ended up staying till midnight, their hands brushing over engine parts in the driveway until the mosquitoes drove them inside. "Yeah, sure," Eli muttered, stepping aside to let him in, the screen door creaking shut behind them like a reluctant confession. "Kitchen's this way." "Help yourself," cabinet above the fridge. Carter brushed past him, close enough that Eli caught the scent of him. Fresh-cut grass mixed with motor oil and that faint, underlying musk that always lingered after a day under the hood of his daddy's old Ford truck. The kitchen was a mess of half-unpacked boxes and mismatched mugs, sunlight slanting through the lace curtains his sister had sent from Chicago, turning the dust motes into lazy dancers. Carter reached up, muscles flexing under his shirt as he rummaged for the bag of dominoes, but instead of grabbing it and bolting, he paused, his back to Eli, shoulders rising and falling like he was steeling for a fight. "You been avoiding me?" Eli asked, the words slipping out before he could cork them, his voice steadier than his pulse. It had been 3 weeks since that night in the barn behind Carter's place, the one where hay bales scratched their skin and the summer stars wheeled overhead like indifferent witnesses. 3 weeks since Carter had whispered, "I love you," into the crook of Eli's neck, only to ghost him the next day like it was all a fever dream. Carter turned slowly, the sugar bag dangling from his fingers like an afterthought. Avoiding? Nah. Just busy. Dad's got me pulling double shifts at the garage, and Liam's been riding my ass about enlisting. Liam, Carter's older brother, the golden boy with the buzz cut and the marine tattoos, who looked at Eli like he was a stray dog that needed putting down. You know how it is. Eli leaned against the counter, crossing his arms to hide the tremor in his hands. Busy. Right. Busy enough to fix every carburetor in town but not drop a text? We ain't kids anymore, Carter. That night wasn't some experiment. Carter's jaw tightened, the bruise on it shifting like a shadow. He'd shown up at Eli's door 2 months back with a split lip from a bar fight, some redneck jawing about fairy boys after too many Millers, and Eli had patched him up with ice and Neosporin, their touches lingering until the air crackled. One thing led to another, and suddenly the lines they'd towed since high school blurred into something raw and real. Stolen kisses in the truck bed, fingers tracing scars under moonlight, confessions murmured in the dark. But Willow Creek wasn't San Francisco. It was a place where queer was still a slur hurled from pickup beds, and coming out meant losing everything from your job to your family. I know, Carter said finally, setting the sugar down with a thud that echoed in Eli's chest. He stepped closer, close enough that Eli could see the faint stubble on his chin, the way his Adam's apple bobbed when he swallowed. Fuck, Eli, you make it hard to breathe sometimes. Like you're the only air worth sucking in this godforsaken town. And then he was kissing Eli, not gentle like before, but hungry, hands fisting in Eli's t-shirt as he backed him against the fridge magnets clattering to the floor. Eli's world narrowed to the heat of Carter's mouth, the scrape of teeth, the way his body pressed forward like a dam breaking. It was messy, urgent, tasting of regret and want, and for a moment, Eli let himself drown in it, hands sliding under Carter's shirt to map the ridges of his abs, pulling him closer until there was no space left for doubt. But doubt was a sneaky bastard. When they broke apart, gasping, Carter's eyes were glassy, not with lust but something sharper, like glass about to shatter. I saw you with that guy from the city last week, he muttered, voice rough. At the diner. Laughing like you didn't have a care. Eli's stomach dropped. The guy from the city, some sales rep named Jake who'd stopped through on his way to Des Moines, all slick charm and city polish. They'd shared fries and small talk, nothing more. But in a town this small, whispers traveled faster than twisters. That was nothing. He was just passing through. Carter searched his face, then nodded, but the seed was planted. They tumbled into the living room anyway, shedding clothes like old skin, the couch springs protesting under their weight. It was slower this time, reverent almost, Carter's lips tracing the freckles on Eli's shoulder, Eli's fingers combing through Carter's hair as he whispered promises neither believed. Afterward, tangled in sheets that smelled of laundry detergent and sweat, Carter traced lazy circles on Eli's chest. We could leave, you know. Head west. Start over in California where folks don't give a damn who you love. Eli wanted to believe it, wanted to pack a bag and hit the highway with the windows down and Springsteen blasting. But reality was the unpaid bills on the kitchen table, the garage he ran out of his shed that barely kept the lights on, the ghosts of his parents who would have disowned him if they'd known. Yeah, he murmured instead. Someday. The storm broke then, rain lashing the windows like accusations, and Carter dressed in the dim light, stealing one last kiss before slipping out the back door. Eli lay there long after, staring at the ceiling fan's lazy spin, wondering how much of his heart he could afford to give before there was nothing left. Days blurred into a tentative rhythm after that, Carter showing up under guises flimsier than wet paper, borrowing tools he didn't need, lingering over coffee that went cold. Eli found himself alive in ways he hadn't been since graduation, when he'd watched Carter drive off to community college in Ames, leaving him with a handshake and a hollow ache. They built something fragile in the shadows. Picnics in the North 40 where no one drove by, midnight drives to the quarry where they'd swim naked under the moon, bodies slick and stories spilling like water over rocks. Carter talked about his dreams, fixing up vintage Mustangs in a shop of his own, far from the grease monkey drudgery his dad shoved down his throat. Eli shared his own buried hopes, writing the novel gathering dust in his desk drawer, stories of boys who loved fierce and free. Liam hovered in the background like a specter, his visits from the base in Quantico filled with backslaps and beer, his eyes narrowing whenever Eli's name came up. "You need to man up, little bro," he'd say, clapping Carter on the back hard enough to bruise. "Find a girl. Settle down. This town's got no room for dreamers." Eli ignored the barbs, chalked them up to brotherly tough love, until the night of the county fair. The air buzzed with cotton candy and diesel fumes, Ferris wheel lights painting the sky in carnival reds and blues. Carter had snuck away from his dad's booth, where he hawked rebuilt engines to sunburned farmers, and found Eli by the ring toss, a stuffed bear dangling from his fist. "Win it for me?" Eli teased, and Carter did 3 throws, bullseye each time, presenting the bear with a flourish that drew whistles from the crowd. They slipped away to the shadowed edge of the midway, behind the tilt-a-whirl where the rumble masked their laughter. Carter pressed the bear into Eli's hands, then pulled him close, kissing him slow and deep, the world fading to the taste of funnel cake on his tongue. "You're my good luck charm," Carter murmured, foreheads touching. "Always have been, but luck's a fickle bitch." As they parted, a figure emerged from the gloom. Liam, arms crossed, face twisted in the neon glow. "What the fuck is this?" His voice was a whip crack, slicing through the night. Carter froze, color draining from his face, while Eli's blood turned to ice. Liam's eyes raked over them, disgust curling his lip. "You sick son of a bitch. Dad's gonna kill you." Carter shoved Eli behind him, stance widening like a shield. "It's none of your business, Liam. Go back to your barracks." "None of my—" Liam lunged, fist connecting with Carter's gut in a whoosh of expelled air. Eli surged forward, grabbing Liam's arm, but the older man shook him off like a flea. "Stay out of it, queer. This is family." The word landed like a sucker punch, and something in Eli snapped. He swung wild, catching Liam's cheek with a glancing blow that split skin. Chaos erupted, fists flying, grunts and curses mingling with the distant calliope music. Bouncers from the fair hauled them apart, badges flashing under the floodlights, and by the time the dust settled, Carter was sporting a black eye to match his bruise, Eli's knuckles raw, and Liam spitting blood with a venomous glare. They didn't speak on the drive back, Carter's truck eating up the gravel roads in tense silence. At Eli's place, he killed the engine, hands white-knuckled on the wheel. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "He's my brother. Blood's thicker. You know?" Eli's chest caved. "Thicker than this?" He gestured between them, voice breaking. "Than us." Carter looked away, jaw working. I don't know. But I can't lose him. Not yet. He left then, tail lights fading into the dark. And Eli sat on his porch till dawn, the stuffed bear clutched to his chest like a talisman against the unraveling. Weeks dragged like chains after the fair, Willow Creek closing in tighter than a noose. Eli threw himself into work, tuning up tractors till his hands blistered, volunteering for every church supper to drown out the echo of Liam's slur. Folks noticed the distance between him and Carter, chalked it up to young bucks butting heads. But Eli saw the pity in their eyes, the way conversations hushed when he walked into the co-op. He told himself it was fine, that love like theirs was always borrowed time in a place like this. But nights found him pacing the empty house, phone silent as a grave. Carter tried, in fits and starts. A note slipped under the door. Miss you. Garage after shift, leading to hurried trysts in the bay, oil-smeared hands and muffled moans against tool benches. But the fire had dimmed. Carter's touches were tentative, his eyes darting to shadows like Liam might burst through the roll-up door any second. He's sorry, Carter would say, zipping up with guilty haste. Just needs time to cool off. Family sticks. Eli. It has to. Eli nodded, swallowing the acid burn of doubt. Because what else could he do? Lose him altogether? So they danced this jagged waltz, passion laced with poison, until the night Carter didn't show. Eli waited till the garage lights flickered out, then drove over anyway, heart in his throat. The Reeves place loomed dark against the harvest moon, pickup absent from the drive, but a glow seeped from the barn like a guilty secret. He shouldn't have gone in. God, he knew better. But jealousy is a blindfold, and Eli pushed through the side door, the scent of hay and regret hitting him like a wall. There, in the loft's golden haze from a single bulb, was Carter, shirtless, jeans low on his hips, locked in an embrace with Jake. The city boy. Jake's hands roamed familiar paths, lips on Carter's neck, and Carter's head was thrown back, a moan escaping that Eli had always thought was his alone. The ladder creaked under Eli's weight as he climbed, rage boiling over into a shout that shattered the moment. What the fuck? Carter. They sprang apart, Carter's face paling to ash. Eli shit. It's not. Jake smirked, adjusting his collar with infuriating calm. Hey, man. Didn't know you two were. Exclusive. He sauntered past, clapping Carter's shoulder like a bro at a tailgate. Call me when you're done playing house. The door banged shut behind him, leaving Eli and Carter in a silence thicker than the dust. How long? Eli demanded, voice a raw scrape. Carter dragged a hand through his hair, avoiding his eyes. A couple weeks. After the fair. Liam. He cornered me, said he'd tell Dad everything unless I straightened up. Introduced me to Jake at the VFW, said he was one of us, that we could keep it quiet. No strings. No strings. Eli laughed, bitter as burnt coffee. Is that what I was? A string? No, God. Eli, you're everything. But Jake, he gets it. The hiding, the pretending. With you, it's real. And that scares the hell out of me. Carter stepped forward, reaching, but Eli recoiled, the betrayal a fresh wound. You could have told me. We could have figured it. Figured what? Running off like fools? Dad's already watching me like a hawk. And Liam's got one foot out the door back to base. If this gets out. He trailed off, the unsaid hanging heavy. Disownment, beatings, Exile. Eli's vision blurred, tears hot on his cheeks. So you chose them. Your brother, your fuck buddy. Easy fix. Ha! Carter's face crumpled. I chose survival. For now. But I love you, Eli. That hasn't changed. Love. Eli spat the word like venom. Love doesn't sneak around with the first pretty liar who bats his eyes. Get out. Carter lingered, mouth opening and closing like a fish on dry land, then turned and fled down the ladder, leaving Eli alone with the ghosts of what-ifs. He sank to the hay, sobs racking him till his ribs ached, the barn's vast emptiness mirroring the hollow in his chest. Morning brought a hangover of regret, but Eli dragged himself home, vowing to cauterize the wound. He changed the locks, metaphorical ones, at least, deleted Carter's number, buried the stuffed bear in the backyard under a pile of leaves. Work became his anchor, a rush job on the mayor's Cadillac, then a transmission swap that had him under the hood till sunset. Folks at the diner murmured sympathies over his pie, assuming a lover's spat with some unseen girl, and Eli let them, the lie a thin armor. But Willow Creek was a sieve for secrets. By week's end, Liam cornered him at the pump, gas can in hand, sneer etched deep. Heard you and my brother had a little dust-up. Stay away, Harper. Family's off-limits. Eli met his gaze, unflinching. Family? Or just another way to control him? Liam's laugh was ugly, bark without mirth. Control? Boy, you don't know shit. Carter's always been soft, dreaming big while the rest of us grind. I do this for him, to keep him from ending up like you, alone, fixing scraps for chump change. The word stung, but Eli straightened, chin lifting. Better alone than chained to hate. Tell him I said goodbye. He walked away then, back ramrod straight, but inside, the cracks spiderwebbed wider. That night, the novel called to him, pages yellowing in the drawer, words he'd scrawled in fits of inspiration. He pulled it out, pen in hand, and let the hurt bleed onto paper. A story of two boys in a nowhere town, loving fierce against the wind. Carter's text started the next day. Please. We need to talk. I fucked up. I ended it with Jake. Eli read them in the dead of night, thumb hovering over delete, heart a battlefield. Forgiveness was a siren's song, but trust, that was shattered glass, sharp underfoot. The breaking point came at the harvest dance, the armory strung with hay bales and lanterns, air thick with mulled cider and fiddle tunes. Eli went alone, stealing for solitude, but there was Carter across the floor, clean-shaven in a button-down that hugged his frame, eyes scanning like a lighthouse beam. When they locked on Eli, the room tilted. He crossed the crowd in 5 strides, pulling Eli into a shadowed alcove where the bass thrummed through the walls. Don't say no, Carter begged, voice hoarse. Hear me out. Eli's resolve wavered, the scent of him soap and starch undoing knots. What? Carter? More excuses. I told Liam. Everything. The words landed soft as snow. Screamed it in his face last night. Said if he couldn't accept me, us, then he could go to hell with Dad's expectations. Eli's breath caught. And Carter's smile was ghost thin. He punched me. Again. Then walked out. Haven't seen him since. He cupped Eli's face, thumbs brushing tears Eli hadn't realized were falling. But I'm done hiding. For you. With you. The kiss that followed was a vow, tender, then torrid. Hands rediscovering paths like long-lost maps. They slipped out the back. Into the crisp October chill. Truck bed their sanctuary under a blanket of stars. Lovemaking there was reclamation. Slow thrusts and shared breaths. Whispers of forever mingling with the rustle of leaves. But dawn brought reality's bite. Liam's truck idled in Eli's drive when they pulled up, brother silhouetted against the rising sun, duffel at his feet. Heard the commotion, Liam said, voice stripped bare. Figured it was time I listened. Carter tensed beside Eli, but Liam held up a hand. Don't. I was wrong. Scared. Mostly. Dad's shadow's long. But that's no excuse. His eyes met Eli's, raw with something like apology. You make him happy. That's more than I ever did. The air shifted then, tentative bridge forming over the chasm. Liam clapped Carter's shoulder. Not hard, but solid, and nodded to Eli. Take care of him, Harper. Or I'll come back. He drove off toward the highway, basebound, and in the quiet aftermath, Carter pulled Eli close. We did it, he murmured. Us against the world. Not quite, Eli thought, but close. Willow Creek still whispered, judgments lingering like smoke, but with Carter's hand in his, the weight felt shareable. They stepped inside together, door clicking shut on the old chapter, the future a blank page waiting for their story. Winter clamped down on Willow Creek like a vice, snowdrifts piling against fences, the world muffled under a quilt of white. Eli and Carter settled into a rhythm that felt dangerously like normalcy. Mornings tangled in Eli's bed, coffee brewed strong and black, Carter's truck idling outside while he stole kisses before heading to the garage. They kept it quiet, no PDAs beyond a brush of knuckles at the diner counter. But the town buzzed anyway, sidelong glances at the co-op, Pastor Hale's sermon on unnatural affections, hitting a little too close. Eli ignored it, focusing on the novel now at 20,000 words. Chapters emailed to his sister in Chicago for her brutally honest feedback. Carter, too, seemed lighter, quitting smokes cold turkey, sketching chassis designs on napkins, even broaching the California dream over venison stew one frosty night. We could do it, you know, he said. Fork paused midair. Pool our cash. Hit the coast by spring. You right, I wrench. No more hiding. Eli's heart swelled, but pragmatism nipped at its heels. And leave everything? The house? The shop? It's all I've got left of them. His parents' photos lined the mantel, smiles frozen in time, a reminder of roots that ran deep as river clay. Carter nodded, understanding in his eyes. Roots can be transplanted. But yeah. Your call. The call came sooner than expected, in the form of a crisp envelope from a Des Moines publisher, offering a modest advance for Eli's manuscript if he revised by summer. Holy shit, Carter whooped, lifting him off the floor in a spin that rattled the pots. You're gonna be famous, babe. Not famous, Eli laughed, breathless. Just published. Real. That night, they celebrated with a bottle of Cabernet smuggled from the bootlegger upcounty. Bodies worshipping under the quilt his mom had pieced from feed sacks. Carter moved like a man possessed, lips mapping Eli's collarbone, hands pinning wrists with gentle command. Proud of you, he growled against skin. So damn proud. Eli arched, lost in the tide. But as release crested, A shadow flickered, Carter's phone buzzing on the nightstand, screen lighting with Liam's name. He silenced it, but the mood fractured, doubt seeping back like cold air through cracks. Liam's calls had been sporadic since the dance. Gruff check-ins from the base, thawing into something like acceptance. "Tell Eli congrats on the book thing," he'd grunted last week, voice tinny over the line. But Eli caught the undercurrent, the way Carter's shoulders tensed post-call. Excuses piling like snow, just base gossip. February brought a thaw, mud sucking at boots, and with it, Jake's return. Eli spotted him first at the garage, leaning against the workbench in pressed chinos, flashing that salesman smile as Carter handed over keys to a polished Beamer. "Looking good, Reeves," Jake drawled, eyes lingering. "We should grab a beer sometime. Catch up." Carter's laugh was forced, a bark. "Maybe. Busy these days." Eli waited till Jake's taillights faded, then confronted him in the bay, wrench heavy in his fist. "What's he doing here?" "Client," Carter said, wiping grease from his brow. "Dropped by unannounced." No big deal, but it was. Jake's texts lit up Carter's phone that week. "Miss our talks." "Dinner?" Each one a splinter under Eli's skin. Carter deleted them, swore it was nothing, but the trust they'd rebuilt wobbled, conversations sharpening into arguments. "You're letting him in again," Eli accused one night, pacing the kitchen while Carter nursed a beer at the table. "I'm not." "Swear to God," Carter's eyes pleaded. "He's persistent, that's all. Like a bad rash. Then block him." "For us." Carter hesitated, thumb tracing the bottle label, and in that pause, Eli saw the fracture lines. "It's complicated. He knows people could help with the shop, intros in the city. Help or leverage?" Eli's voice rose, echoing off the cabinets. "You think I don't see it? The way you light up when he texts. Like he's the thrill you miss." Carter slammed the bottle down, foam sloshing. "That's bullshit. You're twisting it. Jake's a ghost, harmless. Ghosts haunt Carter. And this one's clawing back in." The fight escalated, words flying like shrapnel. Eli's insecurities laid bare, Carter's frustrations with the town's chokehold. "You want me perfect?" Carter shouted. "Newsflash. I'm not. I'm a small-town mechanic with daddy issues and a brother who barely tolerates me. But I choose you every day. Do you?" Eli shot back, tears hot. "Or just when it's easy?" Carter stormed out then, door rattling the frame, leaving Eli in the wreckage of shattered illusions. He didn't sleep, replaying the venom, wondering if love was salvageable or just a pretty lie they told themselves. Dawn found Carter on the porch, head in hands, apology etched in the slump of his shoulders. "I blocked him. For real this time." He held out his phone, contacts scrubbed clean. "And I called Liam. Told him about the fight. He said to remind you. Family's messy, but worth it." Eli softened, pulling him inside, their makeup a quiet unraveling, kisses like sutures, bodies mending what words had torn. But the scar tissue remained, tender to the touch. Spring greened the fields, Eli's revisions flying. Carter's shop bookings tripled with word of mouth from Jake's intros, he'd sheepishly admitted to. They planned the move in whispers. A U-Haul by June. First stop Chicago for Eli's sister's couch. Then west to the Pacific's promise. Sunsets on the beach, Carter dreamed, sketching a garage sign, Reeves Restorations, LA bound. Liam visited then, on leave, bearing a six-pack and a tentative truce. They sat on the porch, awkward at first, talk of weather, baseball, until Eli cracked a joke about Carter's pie skills, drawing a genuine laugh from the Marine. "You too. You balance him," Liam admitted, staring at the fireflies. "Never seen him this steady." "Thanks for sticking." Eli nodded, throat tight. "He's worth it." Summer heat baked the earth, corn tassels waving like farewells. Packing commenced. Boxes labeled kitchen, books, memories, the bear unearthed and tucked into a duffel, a talisman for the road. The night before departure, they hosted a low-key barbecue, sister visiting from the city, a few open-minded neighbors, Liam via video from the base, toasting with pixelated foam. As dusk fell, Carter pulled Eli aside to the backyard, under the old oak where they'd first kissed years back. "1 year ago today," he said, pressing a key into Eli's palm, "not to a truck, but a lease in Santa Monica, signed that afternoon. Our fresh start." Eli's eyes stung, joy and terror mingling. "We're really doing this." "Damn right." Carter kissed him then, deep and sure, the world narrowing to their shared breath. But fate's a cruel editor. As they loaded the U-Haul at dawn, tires crunching gravel, a pickup roared up, Liam's, unexpected, face ashen. "Carter, Dad. He's gone." Heart attack in his sleep. The words hollowed them. Carter staggered, Eli catching him as the world tilted. They canceled the move, unpacked in a frenzy, the California dream shelved for funeral suits and condolences. Reverend Hale presided, sermon heavy on redemption, light on grace, whispers in the pews about the boys' choices hastening the end. In the aftermath, Carter withdrew, drowning in grief and guilt. The garage shuddered, beers emptying faster than tears. Eli hovered, cooking meals uneaten, words of comfort bouncing off walls. "He was proud of you," Eli lied gently, holding him through nightmares. In his way, Liam arrived for the burial, hollow-eyed, the brothers clinging like driftwood. "He knew," Liam confessed over whiskey in Eli's kitchen, voice slurred. "About you too. Found your sketches in the barn. Burned them, but he knew." Carter broke then, sobs shaking the table, Eli and Liam flanking him in silent vigil. The town rallied in awkward sympathy. Casseroles piled high, offers of work, but judgment lingered, a undercurrent in averted eyes. Weeks blurred into morning's fog, Carter emerging leaner, haunted, but resolute. "We wait," he told Eli one rain-lashed night, fingers laced. 6 months. Then we go. For him, for us. Eli agreed. The delay a bitter pill, but love's patient. They rebuilt slowly therapy sessions in Des Moines, Carter's hands finding purpose in a custom job for the mayor, Eli's novel accepted as is, publication set for fall. Liam stayed on, helping run the shop, his presence a bridge mending old rifts, fishing trips with Eli, where casts and catches loosened tongues on regret and growth. By autumn's gold, the wound scarred over, strength in the mark. They repacked, this time with Liam's blessing, a handshake firm, eyes clear. "Take care of each other," he said at the send-off. Truck bed loaded, engine humming. The highway unspooled west, corn giving way to prairies, then mountains, radio crooning Dylan as Willow Creek shrank in the mirror. Eli glanced at Carter, hand on his thigh, smile real for the first time in months. Ready. Born ready. Los Angeles hit like a fever dream. Palm trees clawing at smog-choked skies. Freeways throbbing with horns and hurry. The ocean's endless roar a siren call. They crashed at a Fleabag motel in Echo Park first. The kind with thin walls and roaches the size of quarters. But it was theirs. Queen beds sagging under their weight. Takeout tacos wrappers crunching underfoot as they mapped the city on a dog-eared AAA guide. Carter found temp work at a body shop in Van Nuys. Grease under nails a familiar comfort. While Eli holed up in coffee shops. Laptop glowing with final edits. The manuscript's dedication simple. 4C, My Horizon. The lease in Santa Monica came through. A one-bedroom walk-up above a taqueria. Windows framing the pier's Ferris while spinning lazy against sunsets that bled orange and pink. They christened it with thrift store sheets and laughter. Bodies slick with sweat and salt air. The Pacific's crash underscoring moans like nature's applause. Home, Carter breathed post-climax, tracing Eli's jaw. Finally. But cities devour dreams as quick as they spit them out. Publication day dawned with fanfare back home. Willow Creek Gazette front page puff piece. Copies shipped to Liam and the diner. But in L.A., Eli's book landed with a thud. Reviews middling, quaint Midwestern tale. But lacks bite, sniffed the Times. Signings drew crickets. Royalties trickling like faulty faucets. It's a start, Eli told Carter, pasting on smiles over microwave dinners. But doubt gnawed. Was he writer or wannabe? Carter fared better. His sketches catching an indie garage owner's eye. Reeves Restorations reborn as a pop-up in Silver Lake, specializing in 60s muscle cars for hipsters with trust funds. Clients trickled in. A producer needing his Jag purring for auditions. A tech bros Corvette for weekend cruises. Money flowed steadier. Enough for beach bonfires and weekend getaways to Big Sur, where they'd hike cliffs hand in hidden hand, the vast blue erasing old scars. Yet paradise has thorns. Jake resurfaced via LinkedIn. Congrats on the shop. In town for biz. Drinks. A digital ghost Eli spotted over Carter's shoulder one morning. Block and delete, Eli said evenly, stirring oatmeal. But Carter's hesitation lingered, a half-second too long. It's nothing, he insisted, complying. Water under the bridge. Eli nodded, but the river ran deeper now, fed by LA's underbelly. The grinder pings Carter swore he ignored. The parade of beautiful boys at Carter's shop, models dating influencers, their flirtations bold as billboards. Eli saw the way heads turned, envy twisting his gut. You regret it? He asked one night, wine loosening tongues on the balcony, waves whispering below. Regret what? Leaving? Us? Carter pulled him onto his lap, hands warm on hips. Never. You're my anchor, Eli. The rest? Noise. The words soothed, but tempests brew quiet. Liam's visits strained the idol. First Christmas. Crashing on their couch with marine tales and microbrews. His homophobia leashed but latent. Barbs slipping over eggnog. Cities changed you, bro. Soft. Eli bit his tongue. For Carter's sake. But the air thickened. Conversations circling drains. Worse was the call from home. Mrs. Jenkins. Voice quavering. About the house on Elm Street. Foreclosure looming. Taxes unpaid in the grief shuffle. Your parents would have wanted you to fight for it, she said. and guilt lanced Eli, the bungalow a tether to loss he'd severed too quick. Carter offered to wire funds, but pride bristled. "We're not bailing yet. Let's see the shop through." Spring bloomed with promise. A book tour nibble from the publisher. East Coast jaunt for readings in Boston and New York. Eli left buoyant, Carter seeing him off at LAX with a kiss that tasted of forever. Knock 'em dead. Author. But absence amplifies echoes. Back from readings to middling crowds and hotel loneliness, Eli returned to find Carter distant. Late nights at the shop. Explanations thin as smog. "Big job," he'd say, collapsing into bed reeking of cologne not his own. Suspicion festered. One night, tailing a hunch, Eli drove to Silver Lake unannounced, the shop's neon buzzing open. Through the plate glass, he saw them, Carter and a client, tall, tattooed, with a viper gleaming under fluorescence, hands on shoulders, laughter intimate, a brush of lips that could be accident or intent. Heart pounding, Eli burst in, door chime jangling like alarm. Carter, head snapped. The guy, Rico, per the name tag, grinned wolfish. "Hey, love. Didn't know you were expected." Carter flushed crimson. "Eli, it's not." Rico was just celebrating the tune-up. Celebrating. Eli's laugh cracked. With tongue, the fight spilled into the lot, voices rising over V8 rumbles. "You're paranoid," Carter yelled, wrench clattering. "LA's different. People touch. For fuck's sake. Different? Or excuse?" Eli hurled back, tears salting the wound. "Jake 2.0. Huh? When does it stop being nothing?" Carter deflated, hands raking hair. "It was a kiss. Stupid. Impulsive. He's nobody. Nobody who makes you forget?" Eli's voice broke. "Me? Us?" They drove home separate. Silence a chasm. Inside, apologies tumbled. Carter on knees. Vows renewed. Rico blocked and shop boundaries redrawn. Eli forgave, because what choice? But trust's fragile as sea glass, and the pieces didn't fit seamless. Summer scorched, tensions simmering under sunscreen and sangria. Liam's next visit tipped the boil, arriving with a girl on arm, fiancé. All southern charm and side-eye, dinners devolving into interrogations. "You sure this is sustainable?" she'd ask sweetly, over Eli's paella. "Two guys in this town? With kids someday?" Carter bristled, but Liam's nod subtle, supportive, stung deeper. Post-visit, arguments reignited. "He's family," Carter defended. "You can't hate him forever." "I don't hate. I see him pulling you back. To the closet. The doubts." The climax crested at a shop party. Indie rock pulsing. Craft beers flowing. Rico's shadow lurking in corners. Eli nursed a soda, watching Carter hold court. Charisma magnetic. When Rico cornered him by the cooler, hand low on back, Eli intervened, glass shattering in his grip. "Back off," he snarled, shards drawing blood. Rico smirked. "Jealous much?" Carter pulled Eli away. Into the office, door slamming. "What the hell? He's poaching," Eli exploded. "And you let him. It's work." "Eli, the shop's blowing up. Deals. Clients. I can't torch it over a grope. Over us?" "You mean?" The truth hung. Ugly. "Is this what you left for? Chasing tail while I scrape by on reviews." Carter's face twisted. Hurt. Fury. "You think I don't grind? For us? Fuck you." Maybe Willow Creek was right. I'm poison. He stormed out, party swallowing him, and Eli fled to the beach, waves pounding fury into foam. Hours later, Carter found him, soaked and shivering, wrapping him in a jacket that smelled of oil and regret. I'm scared, Carter whispered, salt mingling with tears. Of losing you. Of this city eating us alive. Eli clung, breaking. Then fight. With me. Dawn brought détente therapy referrals, date nights enforced, Rico's contract voided. They leaned in, roots digging into coastal soil, the novel's paperback run selling steady, shop expanding to a second bay. Fall leaves turned in the canyons, and with them, a quiet epiphany. Love wasn't flawless arcs, but messy loops, forgiveness the glue. On the Pier 1 twilight, rings exchanged in secret, simple bands engraved always, Carter knelt, not in proposal but promise. We're enough. You and me. Eli pulled him up, kiss sealing it against the rail. Always. Years wove their tapestry subtle. LA's glitter dulling to comfortable patina. The bungalow sold to a young couple starting over. Proceeds seating Carter's full shop in Venice. Reeves and Harper restorations now. Eli's name on the sign for the books he kept. Novels followed. A trilogy of queer heartland tales. Oprah's book club nod launching him to TED Talks and panels. Voice steady as he spoke of hidden loves unearthed. Carter attended every one. Front row. Eyes shining pride. Liam softened with time. Wedding invite arriving crisp. Eli as best man in a suit that fit like forgiveness. The ceremony in Quantico was stiff with brass and tradition. But Liam's toast cut deep. To brothers, blood and chosen. And the man who made mine whole. Hugs exchanged. Genuine. The past's barbs blunted to scars. Challenges came. As they do. A shop fire from faulty wiring. Insurance battles dragging months. Eli's sophomore slump. Manuscript rejected thrice before rewrite. Fights flared. Over Carter's long hours. Eli's travel-weary snips. But mornings mended. Coffee and contrition the ritual. The most dramatic scar etched one monsoon July. Echoes of that Iowa storm. Eli returned early from a signing in Portland. Jet-lagged and hollow from a scathing review calling his work sentimental drivel. The apartment reeked of takeout and tension when he found the note on the fridge. At the shop late. Love you. See. But the shop was dark. Bay doors chained. Panic-clawed visions of wrecks. Muggings. And Eli sped to the beach haunts. Bars pulsing with bass. It was the third dive. A hole in the wall off Abbot Kinney. Where he spotted them. Carter and an old flame. Not Jake. Not Rico. But a ghost from Ames college days. Dylan. Broad and bearded now. Arms around Carter at the corner booth. Laughter slurring intimate. Eli's world funneled to red. He stormed in. Rain lashing his back. Voice cutting the din. Carter Reeves. You cheating bastard. Heads turned. Dylan peeling away as Carter bolted up. Face draining. Eli, wait. It's not. Save it. Eli roared. Fist connecting with jaw in a crack that silenced the room. Blood welled. Carter staggering. But he didn't swing back. Just stared. Horror mirroring Eli's. Dylan smirked from the sidelines. Drama queens. Always were. Shut your hole, Carter snapped. Then to Eli, he texted. Said he was in town. Needed advice on a build. Beers turned to. I don't know. Nostalgia? But nothing happened. I swear. Eli laughed. Manic. Rain mixing with tears. Nostalgia. Right? Like with Jake. Rico. How many nothings before it's everything? Carter reached. Desperate. This time it's true. I'm yours only. The bar cleared. Manager herding them out into the downpour. Thunder rumbling like judgment. They drove home sodden. Silence electric. Eli's knuckles throbbing. Inside. Collapse. Eli sliding down the wall. Sobs heaving. I can't keep doing this. Patching the holes you punch. Carter knelt. Bruised and broken. Then don't. But know this. Every slip's my fear talking, the town's echo. Dad's ghost. The kid who hid in barns. But you're my north. Eli. Always pulling me back. Dawn broke gray. Therapy resuming double time. Dylan blocked across platforms. Carter shuttered the shop a week. Focusing inward AA meetings for the binge tendencies. Journaling prompts from Eli's therapist friend. Eli wrote through the hurt. A memoir birthing from the maelstrom. Borrowed time. Stolen hearts. Healing was nonlinear, relapses in snits. But milestones mounted. 10th anniversary on the pier. Vows renewed with witnesses this time. Liam officiating in civvies. His daughter, a toddler with Carter's eyes, tossing petals. The shop thrived. Hybrid now. Restorations plus Eli's merch. Book signings in the lounge. Eli's cancer scare that winter tested deepest. A lump benign after biopsy. But the shadow lingered. Carter's vigil at Mass General a mirror to Eli's post-rec waits. Won't lose you, Carter vowed. Post-op. For beeping soft. Fights hours. Spring brought remission parties. LA's queer community rallying, drag brunches. Pride floats where they marched hand in strap. Rainbow flags whipping. Liam's family grew. Visits biannual. Niece calling Eli Uncle E. Bridging worlds. The pinnacle came unscripted. A documentary pitch on their story. From cornfields to coastlines. Filming in Willow Creek. The old barn now a B&B. Owner regaling crews with love nest lore. Back home. Under that oak. Carter proposed proper, knee in dirt. Ring glinting. Marry me? For real. Legal. Eternal. Tears yes. The wedding small. Beach at sunset. Liam best man. Sister matron. Vows exchanged with waves as chorus. In sickness. In wanderlust. Eli quipped. Drawing laughs. Till highways end. Honeymoon in the Keys. Then life resumed. Eli's bestseller list debut. Carter's TEDx on blue-collar reinvention. Willow Creek faded to fond visits. The house now theirs again. Airbnb for pilgrims. Decades later. Gray threading temples. They sat porch swings, LA's version. Bougainvillea draped. Watching grandkids, Liam's. Adopted via surrogacy, chase fireflies engineered in labs. Worth it? Eli asked. Head on shoulder. Carter kissed his crown. Every borrowed moment. You took my heart that day. Never gave it back. And in the humanism of it, flawed. Fierce. Enduring. Love proved not fairy tale. But testament. In betrayals forge. Deeper bonds hammered. Humanistic in its mess. Romantic in redemption.